You are welcome to today's lesson. We are continuing our discussion on variation. And in this lesson, we are looking at the second type of variation, which is called indirect variation. And this is the part 1 of the lesson. To understand this lesson, make sure you watch the first 3 lessons on variation. Don't also forget to subscribe to this channel to receive updates anytime there is a new lesson. Under direct variation, an increase in one quantity leads to an increase in the other quantity. On the other hand, indirect variation implies that an increase in one quantity leads to the decrease in the other quantity. Example, when there is an increase in importation into a country, the country's currency decreases in value. On the other hand, when a country decreases its imports, automatically its currency value increases. This is an example of an indirect variation, which implies that an increase in one quantity resulted to the decrease in the other quantity, and also a decrease in one quantity resulted to an increase in the other quantity. Let's take note that indirect variation is also called inverse variation. Let's write the inverse of certain numbers to explain inverse variation. When I have the number 2, its inverse or the inverse of 2 can be written as 1 out of 2. If I have the number 10, the inverse of 10 is written as 1 out of 10. What if I have the variable a? What is the inverse of a? This can also be written as 1 out of a. Using the idea of the inverse of a number, let's write the symbolic interpretation of the following mathematical statement. The first one is x varies inversely as u. The second is t varies inversely as z. And the third is a varies inversely as the square of b. Our first question was given as x varies inversely as u, and this can be written symbolically as x followed by the variation symbol, then the inverse of u, which is 1 out of u. And this can be written as an equation x equals k, which is our constant of variation, multiplied by the inverse of u, which is 1 out of u. And this can be simplified as x equals k out of u. Our second example was given as t varies inversely as z, and this can be written symbolically as t followed by the variation symbol, then the inverse of z, which is 1 out of z. This can be written as an equation t equals k, which is our constant of variation, multiplied by 1 out of z. And this can be simplified as t equals k out of z. Our last example was given as a varies inversely as the square of b, and this can also be written symbolically as a followed by the variation symbol, then the inverse of the square of b, which is 1 out of b squared. And this can be written as an equation a equals k, which is our constant of variation, multiplied by 1 out of b squared, which can also be simplified as a equals k all divided by b squared. Let's try our hands on the following examples and submit your answer in the comment section. We are to convert the following statement into mathematical symbols. The first is w varies inversely as r. The second is given as m varies inversely as the square root of n. And the third is x varies inversely as the square of t. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson as we discuss the part 2 of indirect variation.